Hey, what's up guys? It's Justin Rowland back again with a new video. And in this video, I'm going to give my experience with the iPhone XS Max after, well, it's going to be 4 days. I'll probably title the video after 4 days, because probably by the time most of you guys see this, it'll be 4 days, because I got it on Saturday. But anyway, I'm going to give my experience on using this phone, and if I regret going back to iOS for a third time. Now, before I get started in this video, I just want to say thank you to all of you who stuck with me and understood where I was coming from in my last live stream when I made the announcement that I was once again going back to iOS, and thank you all for understanding my reasoning and sticking around. But I know, like I said, in the live stream, it wasn't an easy decision, but looking back on it, I don't think it was that tough. But anyway, let's get started. So, as you guys know, I do love Android, alright? And I feel like Android is a very versatile operating system. You can customize and do everything you want. But I found that after using this phone for almost 4 days, I've been content. You know, I've done everything that I would do on my Galaxy S8 Plus. Mostly social media, YouTube, and all that stuff. So I'm pretty content with my decision. Now let's talk about the phone a little bit. So there will be a review coming out in a little bit. I'm not sure when. I don't want to do it right away because I want to have a little over a week with this phone to give a informal review. So let's start off with the main aspect of this phone, and that's the software, iOS. Now, I have been an Android user since 2012. I had an iPhone 6 Plus. I had it twice actually. And it was a good phone. And looking back on it now, what I gave it up for, I wish I wouldn't have gave it up. As most of you guys know who have been around for quite a while, know that I gave up my iPhone 6 Plus for a Galaxy S6, which might have been the worst mistake I ever made, because the Galaxy S6 was probably one of the worst phones I ever had. But iOS itself, a lot of people say it's boring, and I was one of them. But once you get to use it, it doesn't really seem too boring. I mean, it's a grid of icons that you can't customize. Yes, you can't download APKs or anything like that. You can't stream free TV shows, really. But I don't really care about that. I had Turium TV on my old phone, and I never used it, really. Downloaded it, opened it like once or twice. And I'm very content with iOS. Of course, I had to get back into the swing of things because, well, some things are different to me. Like, I haven't used iOS extensively up until this point. So I had to get used to the phone dialer again, because I'm so used to the layout of the Samsung dialer. I had to get used to a lot of, and this seems to be a common theme here in iOS, where a lot of apps are laid out in tabs, and the tabs are usually along the bottom of the screen. So that's something I had to kind of refresh myself on. And I had to obviously learn the gestures, since this phone does not have a home button. And I will say this: the gestures are very easy. I feel that Apple did a very, very good job of making these gestures work with voiceover Uh, very, very well done, I will say. Um, I'm very proficient with them now, pretty fast. I don't really have much trouble. But yeah, in general, iOS is pretty good. iOS 12 is a very good operating system. I do, like I said, I do appreciate what Google is doing with Android. I still keep up with it. I still think it's cool. Which there will be a video tomorrow about the Made by Google event. I will give my thoughts on that. But I've come to respect what these companies have done, and I don't want to be one of those immature trolls anymore. I don't want to hate Apple just to hate Apple like everybody else does. Now, of course, I'm not sitting here sucking up to Apple. That's not what I'm doing, because I still think Apple does some shitty things, like the next thing we're going to talk about here in a minute. I think it's pretty shitty, and we'll go into that in the review. So, on to that topic, the charger. Can someone please tell me why there's no fast charger in the box? I mean, Jesus, the charger that you get is only 5 freaking watts. How is 5 watts going to charge a 3170 milliamp hour battery in a quick amount of time? That's kind of bullshit, Apple. Okay? We need to have at least a 15 watt charger or something. The Pixel 3, which I'll talk about more tomorrow. Sorry guys, I got itch my nose. The Pixel 3 comes with an 18 watt charger out of the box. Sorry guys again. Most Androids, well, no, I should say pretty much all Androids that support fast charging come with a fast charger in the box. So why do I have to pay an extra, what is it, like $80 to get a fast charger? Now, I'm going to do a little trick actually. At some point, I'm going to try this out. I'm going to use, because I still have my Galaxy S8 Plus brick. I still have the brick from my S8 Plus. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that brick and plug that into the Lightning adapter, whatever it is, and I'm going to see if that gives me fast charging. It should, and if it does, well then bravo. I got it figured out, and I won't have to complain about it anymore. But until I do that, that is a pretty big complaint of mine. Now, I forgot to talk about, speaking of charging, the one thing I don't like about iOS, and I do miss about Android, is when, because on my S8 Plus the battery would light up when it was fully charged, and I missed that. Like the screen would turn on, and I missed that a lot. Now there was an app that I had on my iPhone 6 Plus, and I cannot find it anymore. I believe it's called Battery Master, actually, maybe it's Battery HD, which I did find that app. And I downloaded it on here, and my phone was full, and I did not get any confirmation. I had to check. And another thing that confused me too is the phone does not say on AC power anymore when it's fully charged. When the phone is unplugged, it'll say 50% battery power, not charging, status bar item. VoiceOver will say that. Now it's just like the iPads now on iOS 12. So I kind of got confused at first because I had my phone plugged in and it said 100% battery power charging. So I was a little confused by that. But now I think I know that it's full. Because I did the same experiment on my iPod Touch, and my iPod Touch does say on AC power like older iOS devices. So that's that. The next thing is Face ID, and Face ID is pretty good, I'm gonna say. At first, I was really confused trying to set it up. I looked like a noob. But VoiceOver really does walk you through it, and it gives you very detailed instructions. Like it says, tilt your head to the center. It says like move your head to the center, and then tilt your head up, or turn right, turn your head slightly right. So at first I was a little confused at first because I didn't realize that I had to kind of set it up twice, like pretty much confirm my face. So I was a little confused about that. It was frustrating because I didn't know if I was doing it right, but luckily now I know, and it works very well. And when it recognizes your face because VoiceOver makes a little sound, and you don't have to look directly at the screen, so that's nice for me, especially having nystagmatism. I can't focus on the screen. I can't look at the screen without my eyes moving all over the place. My eyes are twitching right now. They always are. But that's nice that Apple does that with VoiceOver on, where you don't have to look at the screen. They have attention turned off, so you just kind of have to have the phone in front of you, so it can still see a little bit of your face. So that's great. The next thing is the screen. Now this screen, I haven't really got to look at it that much because I mostly keep screen curtain on, but I can't tell a difference if a screen is 720p, 480p. I don't know the difference at all. My Galaxy S8 Plus was running in 1080p the whole time I had it, and I didn't even know. I had it in Quad HD for a while, didn't even know. With my blindness, I can't tell the resolution. I don't really need to see the screen. Sometimes I like to look at the screen when I'm watching content, but I'm perfectly fine with using screen curtain. I don't really need to look at the screen too much, so the screen is not really a big deal to me. The notch, I don't give a crap about the friggin' notch. I'm not going to cry about it because I don't have a right to, because it doesn't really mean anything to me. But next thing I want to talk about is battery life. Now, battery life has been kind of a weird spot for me. It's a little inconsistent right now with battery life, and I don't know why that is. It's not bad battery life, but some days my battery lasts. Well, actually, I've had this phone since Saturday, so Saturday night when I gave my phone, when I first had my phone, it was on 75%. When I first got it from the Verizon store, it was at 75%. I charged it overnight when it got down to like 40, because I was setting everything up and just playing around with it. So I had it down to 40. Sunday, the battery kind of drained a little bit. So I charged it again. And then it lasted quite a while. So some days sometimes it drains faster than other times. Now, one thing I have noticed is that with screen curtain on, I can keep this battery at 100% for about 10 to 15 minutes sometimes, which is awesome. And I believe, let me think. I believe tonight, if I charge this phone again, I believe this will be the fourth night that I charge this phone. The fourth time I charge it, I believe. I believe this will be the fourth time in almost 4 days. So that's very good to me. That's impressive. I with my S8 Plus, I would charge it. I would charge it once at night, and once during the day, like kind of like around like the evening, around between 7 and 8 o'clock, and then I would charge it before I went to bed. This phone, I've only charged it when I went to bed 2 out of the 4 times. Last night and the night I got it, which was Saturday night. So overall, pretty good battery life. What else do I want to talk about? The speed. The performance on this phone is absolutely fantastic. Now, I'm not going to bore you guys with specs or anything like that, but all you need to know, and I'm sure you guys, if you're in the tech space, and you follow a lot of tech, you know the specs of the iPhone already. but the performance on here is very, very, very snappy. Apps open really quick. Um, Content loads, and it's just a very well performing device. Now, next thing I want to talk about is apps. Now, as a lot of you may know, and this is the truth, even when I had Android and I was hating on iOS for the longest time, I knew that iOS apps were always better optimized than Android apps. I knew that all along, and it still remains true. And also, developers seem to care more about accessibility, on iOS apps than Android apps. And the reason for that is because the iPhone seems to be the most popular phone among the blind and visually impaired community, and I understand why now. For all the times I shit on the iPhone after using it again and giving it another chance, I completely understand why visually impaired people go to the iPhone. We're not Apple's sheep, okay? It's just what we find as visually impaired people. Well, I shouldn't say everybody, because there are some people who use Android who are visually impaired, but the majority of, I don't even want to say the majority, I guess the amount of visually impaired people who use iPhones, they find it to be a more consistent experience, which is something that I've come to discover. Even when I had my iPhone 6 Plus, it was a very consistent experience, and I switched because when I switched back to Android from my iPhone 6 Plus to my Galaxy S6, I guess I was just still in the mindset that I had to customize my phone and change everything around and whatnot. And I just was kind of a troll, an Apple troll, and I would troll people who used Apple and whatever. But I completely understand why a lot of visually impaired people prefer the iPhone, because there are apps that are catered to blind and visually impaired in the App Store, such as Blind Square. You have Voice Dream Reader, which is on Android, but I've read reviews for it and it's very glitchy on Android. You have Seeing AI, which is a friggin' awesome app. Absolutely love it. And just a lot of apps like that. There's plenty more that I can mention. It's the truth that the iPhone and Apple are leading in accessibility. It's the truth, and I've never denied that at all. I've said that in previous videos before, even videos when I've crapped on Apple. I've said that they're the best in accessibility, and that opinion does not change whatsoever. So that's my take on apps and accessibility. So overall, do I have any regrets after 4 days? And the answer to that question is no. As of right now, I do not. I am perfectly happy that I switched to iOS. I'm glad that I have which another thing I was going to talk about. Sorry, I'm a little disorganized. This came to me right now. But the one thing I really like is that I have not only my music from Spotify, but I have the stuff that I bought on my iTunes library years ago, songs that I even forgot I had, because I never really used my iPod Touch that much. So there were some songs that I forgot that I even had. So that was awesome. Brought back a lot of memories. But I don't have any regrets. I really like this phone. By the way, actually, never mind that. I'll probably mention that in another video. About the amount of storage I got. I'll mention that in the review. But this phone is awesome. This is my first time testing the camera, really. So I'm curious to know how this came out. And yeah, that's my overall experience after 4 days. So with that being said, thank you all for watching. I will see you guys tomorrow in my Made by Google thoughts video, and I'll talk to you then. Have a great night or a great day wherever you may be, and I will see you all later. Peace out, everyone.